Hello and welcome to wonderful Butte Park Castle. Yeah, I'm sitting in the grounds of Cardiff Castle because one of the things I'm going to talk about today passes down here, so it seemed like a good place to start. Now, I've been saying said in a couple of Facebook groups I was going to make this video, and people have gone, yes, please. What I'm looking at is the canals that run through Cardiff. Definition of a canal: artificial waterway, not natural waterway. And there are two of them that came through Cardiff. There was the Glamorganshire Canal, which ran from Merthyr down into Cardiff docks. And then there was the Cardiff Dock Feeder, which took fresh water from Blackware, which is actually up there, and down through the centre of Cardiff, and again down feeding fresh water into Cardiff docks. Now, I've done a video about both of those before, but just wanted to clarify the two. For the purposes of this video, when I say canal, I'm going to be talking Glamorganshire Canal. When I say dock feeder, well, you can fill in the blanks. So let's have a look at the map. This is a map dating back from the 1900s, 1800s, turn of that century anyway. And it shows here in blue where the canal came down through the centre of Cardiff. And then in green, it shows where the dock feeder came down through Butte Park, across and again down through the centre of Cardiff. So let's start with, where did the Glamorganshire Canal go and what's left today? Spoiler alert, not a lot. So the Glamorganshire Canal, would have come down and entered Cardiff area roughly here, looking up North Road towards the Welsh College of Music and Drama, and down that way into the sun is the centre of Cardiff. And at this point, it would have been just a normal cut, and there would have been a couple of locks on the way. It actually opened in 1794 and completed the whole route from Merthyr Tydfil down to Cardiff. But round about where I'm standing here, by the tennis club, there used to be quite an interesting feature. You can see it on this map here. And it's a boat weighing machine. It was built in 1834 at Tonguinlas and came down to Cardiff in 1850. It was moved to the north of North Road Lock in 1894. And the idea was it was to weigh boats in order to charge their tonnage and their tolls. It moved to Stoke Brewham Museum when all this was closed and redeveloped. But then in 2017, it was relocated to the Waterfront Museum in Swansea. As you can see, there is nothing left, though I do see the odd wall, the odd boundary. I think to myself, I wonder. One of the things you can see, though, is this map. Now, this is one of my favourite maps that I make use of off the Ordnance Survey. And it is a 25-inch map that goes into so much detail, but it stops just south of this point. It's really annoying. So it doesn't show the centre of Cardiff, which is a shame. But what it does show here is there is North Lock. And beyond North Lock, the canal heads on down. But if you notice, underneath it goes the dock feeder. And this is the point where the two actually met. If you look at some of these pictures, you can see the canal would have been round about here. Over there is the law courts, and over here is the castle. Today there's a subway underneath there, which takes you over towards the law courts. But you can see Cardiff Castle in all its glory. Different layers of brick for different eras of the castle being built. But we know the canal ran down here because at this point it went underneath Kingsway, and about the only thing that's left in the centre of Cardiff is this short length of tunnel. It's still here today, even though the brick tunnel behind it has been widely decorated. And there's also a bit of a windlass here to illustrate this was once a canal tunnel. I don't think this actually had any function here. However, what did was this. This would have been, a bit of metal here, would have been to stop the bricks eroding as boats came round and the horses dragged the ropes around, this metal would have been where the ropes would have worn it away rather than wearing the bricks away. After this, the canal, having passed underneath the road, would have turned round to the right and headed into two locks known as Town locks. You can see the image of them today. They have now been built on. So let's go around and see what it looks like today. And this is what it looks like today on this side, on the right hand side, the original buildings. And you can actually see some of the Victorian facades up here, what is now a travel lodge. But on the other side, where the lock was, it's gone completely. The canal would have continued down here and then it's buried entirely underneath Queen's Arcade. In actual fact, it went underneath what is now St David's Centre, completely filled in, because the canal would have entered a tunnel at this point. You can see these images of the entrance to the canal. It had chains down it, so the boats could be pulled through. It was certainly too narrow to take horses down. And when they decided to get rid of the canal, they completely demolished it and completely filled it in. The tunnel would actually have ended about here, but as you can see, we're slap bang in the middle of St David's Shopping Centre, and there's absolutely nothing to see the original tunnel or the canal. Like so many places today, St David's Centre and the extensions to it have completely obliterated the canal. Interesting enough, this building here used to be a power station. There used to be a plaque on it explaining what it was. It's gone now, which is a shame. And then St David's continues all the way down here and right down what is known as the Hayes. At the bottom of the Hayes, the canal would have gone underneath a bridge. This pedestrianised area is roughly where the canal bridge on this map would have been. As I said, St David's has completely obliterated it from the scene. But what's interesting is to see this little road here is called Hayes Bridge Road. Why? Well, this is the Hayes, and this is where the bridge is. And once it came underneath this bridge, it came down here. And this is Mill Lane. When you view the buildings along here, you can see, comparing the images to the canal, that these old buildings here would have been right alongside the canal, but on this side, completely gone, everything filled in. And I do have a friend who has said that they thought that actually the canal was covered over, and it wasn't. The canal actually was filled in completely. At one point, you can see from this image, they parked cars on it. What's interesting as well, by the way, with Mill Lane is they built this. This is the new library. There was an old one a bit further up. They demolished to build the second part of St David's Centre. But they put this road in, which is a bit of a bus terminus, and they've called it Canal Lane. Bottom end here of St Mary's Street, you can see the Great Western Bar used to be a hotel, and this is where Mill Lane comes out, and there is a railway bridge. If we look at these photos taken around where Mill Lane ends, and you can see the railway bridge in the background, these roads would have been called East Canal Wharf and West Canal Wharf, and they effectively were the start of the canal down into the docks. There are a couple of photos, some of which are quite well known, but if we look at this one, we can see there is the Westgate Hotel that I mentioned previously. So let's have a look at the dock feeder. What was it for? Well, quite simply, it was to feed fresh water into Cardiff docks. It comes off at Blackware, which is further up from where I'm sitting here. Comes down through the side of Butte Park. Today looks like a nice ornamental walk, and in actual fact there's some steps in it in places to allow dogs that jump in to climb out. And then it comes down through the centre of Cardiff and heads down in towards the docks. What Was it for? Well, the answer is the docks exit into the Bristol Channel, which is very, very tidal. And a lot of silt would be washed into the locks if you took water from the channel. So therefore you need to take water from the dock side, not the channel side, and you need a regular supply of fresh water. And that's what it was built for. And in actual fact, it still provides that function today. People look at the dock feeder today and think it's a very nice ornamental water, and it is very pretty going down the side of Butte Park. At times they've used it as part of the lights at Christmas, and it looked very pretty with these lilies floating in it. But it has the function, as I say, of supplying water to the docks. It's fair to say that the dock feeder here in Butte Park is very pretty. People just enjoy having a source of water alongside the park, and certainly a good place for ducks. I think that possibly might be a moorhen. However, what then happens is, rather than, as I said before, head down to the Taff, it turns to the left, forms the moat of the castle, before disappearing off down into the centre of Cardiff. It passes underneath this main road, Kingsway, and it continues along the side of Gorsehead Gardens. It's fair to say it's so well hidden. It's actually behind those railings and those trees over there. It's not exactly a feature because it's functional. And as I say, disappears off down Boulevard de Nantes. Having come down the whole of side of Boulevard de Nantes, it's almost hidden because it's down here in the trees behind this fence. But I can guarantee you there is water down there. Let's go around the corner and show you into Park Place. And there it is down there. At this point, it disappears into a tunnel and goes underneath these buildings over here before coming out at the top of Churchill Way. So underneath the feeder where I'm standing here right now, this is where the dock feeder was. It came under, this is now Leonardo Hotel, used to be called the Park Hotel. And it continued off down behind me down Churchill Way. And it does continue today under Churchill Way all the way down. It's just one thing's changed since I was last here and filmed about this dock feeder. They've kind of opened quite a big chunk of it up, and this is it. Now there's a lot of controversy about this. Some people love it, some people hate it. Personally, I think it's rather nice, and it's starting to rejuvenate the area a bit. But these climbing vines, a couple of bridges, and already this morning, just doing a little bit of filming here, I've noticed a lot of people, a lot of visitors, just stopping by to watch the water go past. So originally Churchill Way was two streets divided by the dock feeder, and you can see here there were houses either side. It was a bit dirty, a bit smelly, and they decided to close it in. This image shows the concrete slabs being placed over the top of it. Their whole structural integrity was based on, could you run a 6-wheel trolley bus over it? Give you a sign of the times. It was considered a great success. Even so, they actually had a bit of a celebration, and you can see here a marching troop, marching band, celebrating the fact they'd closed in the dock feeder. The dock feeder continued down Churchill Way, past the hotel, which is in view, and I was able to climb up behind the hotel and take some images, some footage of it. So from behind the hotel, the canal continues down underneath the Great Western Main Line and underneath the link that comes down from Queen Street down into Cardiff Central, and then off its way down into the docks. The canal disappeared off down into the docks, and you'll notice if you look at the map, this junction canal heading off. I featured it briefly in another video. And I will be going down here at some point and exploring a little bit further into what happened once it passed underneath this railway bridge, and how the canal and the dock feeder today make quite unique little waterway down in Cardiff Bay. And so watch out for that one. Be doing that at some point in the future. But in the meantime, on a lovely bank holiday Monday, which is when I'm filming, sitting in the grounds of Cardiff Castle, enjoying a coffee and watching the world go by. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and until next time.